Hey guys, it's Rebecca Oberstadt. So today's video is going to be a little bit different, which is why I'm completely barefaced and I don't plan on putting anything else on except for eyeshadow. I have talked about this in several videos that I have done with makeup looks. I've talked about it on social media. I've even commented on other people's videos in the comment section, and I've had a lot of people agree with me on this. So I figured I would try and do like a breakdown video on things that I have done that help versus things that I've done that have like completely screwed stuff up. And what I'm actually talking about is the Charles X Morphe Palette. Now, some of these shades in here work absolutely beautifully. You can put them on, they're pigmented, which I absolutely can't stand when YouTubers use that word, but the color payoff from putting the shadow on your lids is actually really good. Some of the other shades are very hit and miss. Some are very patchy. There's quite a few that are very difficult to work with. So what I plan on doing is showing you what I've been able to do in order to get the color to last. Just some tips and tricks on applying the eyeshadows, blending the eyeshadows, those kinds of things, and what shadows that I personally find the most difficult in the palette to work with, and the different things that I have to do in order to get the shadows to work. So if you're interested in this, then keep on watching. I will be breaking this down, and like there's 39 shades in here. I will not be covering all of the shades. I'll probably just group a bunch of them together and talk about that specific type of shadow, or the things that I find that are pros and cons and how to use them for specific groups. But I won't be like talking about like every individual shadow, because then we'd be here for hours. So if you're interested, keep watching. Feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe, all the fun stuff YouTubers ask you to do in the down, you know. I'm gonna get started because this palette angers me. So let me get started. I'm gonna sip my coffee and I'll get started. Okay, so I used this palette yesterday in an eye look, and one side I thought looked okay, the other side looked patchy and unblended. So and I did go ahead and I just used double stick tape to put the name sheet on here. I don't know, just so I know what the colors are called. But some of these shades work with no problem, blend super easily. I've tried it with primer, I've tried it without primer, I have tried it with concealer, I've tried it with Tarte Shape Tape, because some of my concealers stay kind of tacky to the touch instead of like drying down completely. So I have tried these with a wide variety. I think I've tried it over like 9 different products, and to be honest, I don't find that using something under these shadows really does anything. I have used these shadows wet, I've used them dry. If you do use them wet, I will show you. If you look at this blue shade right here, you can see where I've used it wet, and I've had a wet brush touch the pan, and it leaves like marks in the pans. So if you're going to be using the shadows wet, keep that in mind. The water does cause a little bit of hard pan. Now, some of the, actually I think all of the shimmers in here, they work beautifully wet or dry. The only one that, and everybody's mentioned this, is this beautiful Artistry shade. It really is like a very light opacity. Like James said, it was a topper shade. I've actually gotten it to work on me and last. I actually on purpose went to sleep with eye makeup on and woke up the next morning after using that shade, and the purple base that's underneath of it and some of the glitter was still left on my lid. So I do know that the shade does have color payoff, but it also lasts quite a long time. And I don't use glitter glues or anything like that. Most of those I'm allergic to due to their ingredients. So all of the other shimmer shades work like most other shimmer shades or foiled shadows. Some of them are a little bit more metallic than others. Some of them is more like a sheen. Some of them it is more like an actual like liquid metal. So in that category we have Ring Light. I guess I can do this. Oh, I just stuck my finger in it. Poor shadow. Okay, so we have Ring Light. So good. This one here is Sister. Literally. Oh no, wait. Yeah, that's Literally. Those are all like something I would consider in the same family. Also, the shade Guac and Cape Cod. Those are all similar shimmers and face. Then you get into Artistry, which is definitely a glitter. And then you have like the metallic shades, which is Halloween, Wig, and What's that? Shook? Yeah, Shook. And then we have one that's more like a satin, which is Acapella. And then I would consider Hello kind of more like a satin to a shimmer shade. And then all the rest of the shades in here are matte. Can't believe I just stuck my fingernail in that pan. So hopefully that helps with figuring out the shimmer shades. And I've never had any problems with the shimmers at all. I don't have a problem with how opaque they are when they go on, the buildup on them using them wet or dry. I don't have any problems with the shimmers. It's the matte shades I do have problems with. And I will be doing a look as well. So I will be using some shades and doing a look and talking about some of those things as I'm applying the shadows for some of the easier to work with mattes and the more difficult to work with mattes. So now to figure out where to start. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to work with is one of the more difficult shadows. And I have the BH, this is 102. This is in one of the brush sets that I got from them. I would recommend a denser, like flat brush like this. Or I have a Scone Cosmetics brush. This is the large shadow brush. I actually used this one yesterday. It's just a dome-shaped brush, but it's super dense. I even have, here's another BH Cosmetics brush. This is 103. This is another domed brush that's dense. So those are dirty, and I'm gonna be working with a shade that is not on those. I'm going to actually go into the shade Daddy, which is this green right here. The main shades that I have a problem with in this palette, make sure I pick up all what's loose in the pan. I'm gonna set the brush down for a minute. Out of this palette, the ones that I have the most problem with is Daddy. Then you have Acapella, love that. Brother, Cola, Rusted, 518. Boutique, Benny, Tea, No Beans, and Spooky. Those are all of the shades. Oh, and B. And B is a beast all on its own. But as I'm applying the green shade, I'm going to talk about why. And I did coat both sides of the brush, and then I make sure to tip it in the pan so that the actual top of the bristles has color too. So the reason these shades are so difficult to work with is most of these, I think all but like a couple of them that I mentioned, are all pressed pigments. And in order to work with these shades, you need, as you're watching, I'm doing like a light tapping motions, and as I tap, I'm lightly dragging the brush down, just a hair. So that way I get the shadow where I want it. And then of course I do have to go back and build up the shade. But in order to get the color to stay on my skin and not blend away to nothing, just leaving a light shadow, I literally dip both sides of the brush in. I don't tap it off. And then I lightly am tapping the color onto my eyelid. And I didn't put anything on my eye. I have nothing there. It's just skincare from when I first woke up. And this might seem like completely weird because this isn't something that you would normally do. But in order to get these colors to turn out the way that you want them to, you put the shadow down first. You pack it on the skin. I've even used my finger at some point to apply the shades in order to make sure that I don't have any like holes or patchy spots, because you know the oils in our skin causes us to be able to pick up shadow a little bit differently and disperse it differently than an actual brush would. So now that I've got this on, then I will go and blend. Now with the shades that I mentioned, you've got Tea, No Beans, Spooky, Daddy. Yeah, all of those. Those are not pressed pigments. These are supposed to be like regular shades. Like the shade that I just put on is not considered a pressed pigment, but it acts just like the other ones that are pressed pigments. And I'm going to have to zoom in on this to show you that the color that I just put down even though I'm like lightly blending, the majority of it's gone off my eye. I don't know if you can see that or not, or how well you can. I'll try and zoom in during editing, but the shade is basically gone. So then you have to go back in with your brush and repack the shadow to get it darker in those spots where you want it to be like a kabam shade. Now, B, Cola, Brother, Escape, Love That, Rusted, and 518 are the other shades that I mentioned. Those are all pressed pigments. I haven't had any of them stain my skin at all. None. I've tried it, like I said, with primer, without primer, and I haven't had any issues with them. I've tried it on my eyes. I've tried it on other parts of my face just to see how it would work with, you know, different skin. I've tried it on my arms. Of course, I did swatches of them. I've tried it on the backs of my hands. And I haven't had any of these shadows like cause staining on me. You know, you figure if you wash it off with soap and water, it should come off, which I haven't had a problem with them not coming off with soap and water. I mean, I have some shadows that you have to use an oil-based cleanser in order to get them off your skin. This still isn't where I want it to be. But those are just some of the shades that I wanted to like mention because they're so difficult to work with, and it takes so long to build up this color, blend it out on the edges so you don't have like a line where you've got the product. Like right up here, I have a line, and I don't want that line. I want it to be blended out a little bit better. Now, if you want, you could go in to either like canvas, which that's what I'm going to pick up now, or flashback and like blend over the top, or you can take, I don't have one on the counter. This is like a domed brush, but it's like fluffy. So I'm going to pick up canvas on that and use that up here to blend. That way I can get that line not to be so harsh right there in the middle. And then any of this out here that I've got, you can always clean that up afterwards. I do have like the makeup cleaning cloths, and this is dry. And I actually looked online. These are, the 3-pack of these is like $4. I thought it was like $8. It's not, it's $4. But even using this dry, I just cleaned up the edges and it looks fine. You can also use like a Q-tip and some eye makeup remover to get it off if you want a nice sharp line. But I've built this up, what, 4 or 5 times now just to get the dark in here where I want it. Kind of a pain if you ask me. Okay, I just cleaned off a brush. I'm going to go into B, which is also a pressed pigment, and I'm going to talk about that for a minute. This is a little bit more of a fluffy brush, and I only coated the one side. Now B, every time I've tried to use it, it comes off very faint. It's a nice shade of yellow. It's kind of like a canary yellow, but it's not very opaque. It's very transparent. So you have to build and build and build and build and build in order to get this yellow to show up at all. And when James Charles did that rainbow look on his channel, I honestly can't tell you what he used underneath of it in order to get that yellow so opaque, because this is what, the 3rd, 4th dip into the pan that I've gotten for this yellow, and I've tried it wet and it looks horribly chunky and chalky on my skin when I try and use it wet. So I learned my mistake there, not to use the shadow wet, because it literally looks like I put yellow food coloring inside some powder and stuck it on my face. It was a very bad experience. And I hated the look, absolutely detested it. And because this is kind of a fluffier brush, once I get the shadow put down, I'm kind of blending out with the same brush. And I'm like working it into that green shade. That's another reason why I didn't do anything else, because I've got You know, I keep messing with my eyebrows every time I touch them with a brush, so. There's just two colors. Now, you saw how much I had to build up on both the green and the yellow, and the yellow still isn't real punchy. You can see it, but it's not like this kind of color. It's not a nice, solid, bold yellow shade like I would expect. And I don't own a whole lot of shadows. I don't own a whole lot of like palettes and stuff because I just can't afford them. But what I want from a makeup company is to come out with a palette of varying shades of yellows and gold shades and like the orangey yellows and yellow oranges and that kind of stuff. I would love to see one palette, kind of like Huda Beauty did with the jeweled palettes that she did with the 9 shadows. I would love to see a palette come out with a pastel yellow and a canary yellow and like a buttercup yellow and a sunshine yellow and all the varying shades of yellow, just because, yeah, I don't know if yellow shades are like super hard to make, because I personally haven't worked with yellow. I do have one yellow shade that I made, and it's called Queen Bee, and thankfully I didn't have to formulate the color on that one. I think I probably would have lost my mind. But the orange one that I have it was pretty difficult to make the orange shade. So yellow shades, I'm not sure how difficult they are to make because, you know, it's primary color. So I don't know why some of these yellows, out of the few that I have, they're just not punchy enough for me. And I want a yellow that's going to smack you in the face and you know, you call it mama, because I want a shadow to be yellow. I don't want something that's like, it kind of looks yellow, but it also kind of looks green. And you can't tell if it's like a fluorescent green or like a pastel yellow when it goes on the skin. I want a yellow that's going to go on the skin and be like, hi, I'm yellow. You know, I don't want something to be like, I'm yellow, hi. You know, there's like a big difference, and I want color with a punch. So this shade is disappointing to me. So I think I'm going to work with the 518 shade now. Now, when I did a look the other day, I used the shade Rusted on this brush, so I think I'm going to use the 518 on here. And I'm going to do like some carving. This is a Luxie 217 pencil brush, and I've coated the entire tip in that yellow. And I'm not going to go up high. I'm going to literally open my eyes, and I've got a little fold in the front. And I just kind of drew a line there. I'm going to place the color in this crease and then work up just a little bit. This is another shade that is very like light, and it actually doesn't even look like it's going on my skin. Just to show you, there's the brush coated, all the way around coated. And then I'll try and zoom in so you can see this. It's not even showing up on my skin. So I'm going to clean off a Viramana brush, which is a dense packing like shader brush. And I like tapped it in the pan 6 times on either side. So I'm going to lightly tap this on the skin and see if I can get that orange to show up. It looks like it wants to be an invisible shade today. Now, if I wanted to, I could carve out my eyelid. I might have to do that. The shade is not, it's not playing well. I just wiped off some excess powder. I'm gonna put concealer on my lid area, kind of like you would for a cut crease, but I'm gonna do something different. So I will be right back with that on. Okay, I have the concealer down, and what I've done is I've gone right over the edge and like pressed down on the edge of the concealer. I didn't, you know, there's nothing else on it. So I'm going to come in at an angle and tap this at the very top. Hope and pray that this orange sticks. I did use the NYX Studio Skin Concealer, and this is in the shade Fair. Now I'm going to go back to that first brush. And I'm just kind of working it in so that there's not like a super harsh line. I mean, yes, there's going to be a line, but I want to like try and work it into the other colors, and I will be going back over those colors here in just a minute. Okay, got the orange how I want it. Now for the lid. Okay, now for the lid shade. I have mixed a combination of Face and Social Blade on my brush, and I've swiped into one and went to the other. So yes, there is some green in the Face shade, but this is going all over my lid because I wanted something that would be cohesive with the look, but I wanted a shimmery look. So let's see. Well, the shimmer is coming off the brush first. And my corrector is still like tacky. Or I should say the concealer is still tacky. So basically all of the shimmer came off. So I'm going to then pack that Social Blade shade over it. And this is a 06 brush. It's on the BH Cosmetics website. It's an interesting little like fan brush. And there's a reason why I've done this in like steps. When my eyes are open, that entire orange shade is going to disappear. It's just the way that my eyes are shaped. So you're going to see the green on my lid and then the green in my crease. And then when I open my eyes, you'll be like, oh, you got orange there. Kind of like a surprise shade. Okay, I'm going to take off what is on the brush. I'm going to go back into Face and try and clean up some of the green in it. And I'm going to tap this over the green and then the orange, or both at the same time. And kind of create a shimmer shade. Okay, now for going back in with the yellow and the green, the dark greens, the first two shades that I started with, to make sure that they are more intense and you can see them as well. And what this step will do is it will intensify the colors a little bit and then blend out the edges of the two shades that I just put down. And I'm starting with the yellow shade first. And now I'm going to go in with the green. Okay, I am satisfied with where I am. And now I'm going to work on the lower lash line. Okay, from when I put concealer on before, I had gotten some under here, so I got my finger wet and then tried to work off the concealer that was under my eye and then used the makeup cloth to get the rest of it off. So now I've got to put the yellow shade back. And because I already had yellow in my inner corner from putting that shade on, I just kind of left that there, and I'm just carrying it down under my eye as well. Now I'm going to take the shade that has green on it and just touch the tip of it in the green, and then connect the two, and then put this under my eye and meet up with the yellow. I know if you're using, if you're doing this, you would probably want to use a smaller brush. But because it was still in my hand and I don't feel like dirtying another brush just to do this, that's why I'm using it. Oh, I just stabbed myself in the eye. I'm awake, I promise I'm awake. My poor eyes all watering now. Okay, now I do have color out here. I will clean that up in just a minute. Okay, I've got the green where I want it. Now comes the fun part, the orange. I'm not going to put anything else down. I'm literally going to just, I got the color on the brush, and I'm going to go right under my lashes and apply this, if it works, to the center under my eye. This color just does not like me today. And I've got some color there. I think I'm gonna get a brush wet, and I just want it a little bit damp. I have water in the lid of a cup of the spray over here, so I just got the tip of this wet. Let's see if that yellow or that orange shade goes on a little bit better now, because all it wanted to do was blend out the yellow and the orange, or the yellow and the green. My bad. Can't even think straight. Coffee's broken. Hey guys, okay, so really quick, I'm going to get this part recorded and then I will try and finish stuff up. It's been hours since I recorded this look. It took me forever to get this, and then my device ran out of storage space, and I've been trying to upload since 5 o'clock this morning, 5:30 this morning, the eye look, so I could delete some videos off my phone so I could upload, you know, I could finish recording this and do the other eye. I took the face shade and added it to my brow bone and my inner corner. So basically I have the green under here, and I connected it. I used the orange in the center, and then the yellow carried underneath the front, third of my eye. And then the face shade that I used all over my lid on top of the Social Blade color and the 518 shade, they're both covered with that color. And then I put it on my brow bone. I'm not going to do anything else to this eye. I just wanted, I don't know, if it was me, I would probably carry the orange down a little bit further, but because this orange shade is so difficult, this is the last brush I was using when the camera cut off, and it was wet before. I'm just trying to bring that orange down just a little bit more. Now it looks like I've blended away some of the yellow. Okay, now that I've got the yellow back, and I have been wearing this makeup for hours. It's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon right now, so I figured this eye makeup's been on since 5:30ish this morning. And I've been outside, and my dad threw a whole glob of weeds he pulled up out of the yard on me, so my entire back got dirt on it. So I'm going to come closer to the camera so you guys can actually see what my look looks like up close, and then I'm gonna try and get the rest of the videos uploaded off my device so that I can record part 2. Hopefully you guys like this look. These are very difficult shadows to work with. I know this video is very long. I will try and shorten some of the videos by I'm not going to cut anything out, but what I'll do is I will try and speed them up. So this video isn't over 45 minutes long, because as of right now, looking at how much footage that I have over 45 minutes worth of footage. So hopefully you guys enjoy this look. If you do, please let me know in the comments, and I'm going to scooch closer. Okay, got my hair and my brushes. So this is what we've got going on. So you figure the dark green looks okay. The orange, I had to use concealer on my lid, and when I took some pictures of it a couple of hours ago, it doesn't even come across as orange on the camera. It looks yellow. It looks almost this shade on camera, and the shade in the front almost looks like Social Blade. So I'm not going to do face makeup or I'm not gonna brush it over, or mascara or liner or anything like that. This is more of me talking about the difficult shades, how I work with them, how I get them to actually play nicely together. I know Jen Loves Reviews did a video on walking people through having to work with the darker shades first and then slowly build them up and how they blend out and that kind of thing. So in part 2, what I will do is some of the easier shades to work with, and some of the pressed pigments are a lot easier to work with than the ones that I worked with on this eye. So hopefully this video is helpful and you guys enjoy the look. It is kind of weird. It's green, yellow, and orange. So, you know, it is what it is. Green's one of my favorite colors. So I figured because that is between that one and the Escape shade, which is the dark purple, those are the 2 most difficult shades in that palette for me to work with. I've had nothing but problems with them, and both of the blue shades are also very difficult, but nowhere near as difficult as, what is it, Daddy and Escape. They're both super difficult to work with. So that's why I focused on the green. I did a look with the purple the other day, the purple and the blue. So that video will go up before this one. So I will link it. If you look at the cards, it will be up here. It'll be like a little circle with an eye in it. I put cards up there to like videos that are related to the ones that I'm recording or that are similar, or their topics are similar. So I always leave things up there. I also put polls up there. So always check the little eye at the very top of every video on this side of it so that you can see other looks that I've done or other videos that I've done on certain things that are relating to this. So when that look goes up, I will put it up in the cards. I'm not one to like link everything in the description box. I just use the card system that YouTube has. I find that it works just fine. And that way, you know, it's easier for you guys. You can just click it and then it takes you right to that video. And instead of like clicking another link in the description box, which might take you out of the YouTube app or take you to a whole other page and then open something else up. So I find it's a little bit more convenient. So anyways, hopefully you'll like it. If you do, please let me know. It was very much a pain in the eye because it's not makeup on my foot, but it is on my face. So it was definitely a pain in the face. So I will see you guys in just a minute for the outro. What I'm going to end up having to do because of a lack of storage space on my device, I'm going to do my other eye with the easy eyeshadows and discussing the rest of the eyeshadows. Since I did talk about 2 different types of eyeshadows in this video, I will be doing a part 2, which will be using eyeshadows and stuff that are a little easier to work with in the James Charles palette, and some of the other colors and stuff with discussions on what works best and that kind of thing. So I'm not quite sure where I left off. But anyways, if you've gotten to this point, thank you so much for watching. Feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe, all the fun stuff us YouTubers usually ask you to do. And I will see you guys in another video. Hopefully you have a great day or night wherever you are. Bye.